Good morning, and how are you? My name is Carolyn Motley, and welcome to the Cannon County Chamber Connection. And this, of course, is made possible by DTC Communications with our thanks. Your host today will be me, Carolyn Motley, and Keith Reddy, and this is September 2020. You know, the COVID virus is still with us, and I think it's going to be with us for a while. However, the businesses and the organizations are, are trying to adapt to the new normal and still be functional, because we do have a new normal right now. The fear of the unknown is what we're facing right now, but the thing that we should all know, if we don't know by now, this thing is real. So to be safe, you do what you can to take care of you and yours. We do have some guests today, and some of our organizations that deal with various types of community programs and everything that still go on regardless of pandemics or whatever, is we have today Glenn and his bride, Pam Steakley, and they are with the Cannon County Substance Abuse Prevention Coalition. And Glenn, how long have you and your bride been married?
We're newlyweds. We were married in 2000.
Do you still call your your bride or your newly married husband?
And you might have noticed, I always call her Mrs. Steakley. I never call her Pam. I'm questioned about that a lot. And they ask me why I do that, and that's out of respect for her putting up with me.
Well, everybody should call their wife Mrs. Well, I've heard women call their husband Mr. So-and-so too. I've called mine several times on several occasions, several things. And sometimes,
some of them you can't
sometimes
repeat,
they're
huh?
all different. But they are, all joking aside, they have been working on this substance abuse coalition for what, Glenn, now sometime,
Well,
right?
we have been working on it for over 2 years, but
Right.
we were established here in Cannon County on April the 11th, 2019. The state National Guard Counter-Drug Task Force came in on April the 11th, 2019, and established us with the state of Tennessee.
What does your group do?
What we focus on is prevention of substance abuse. And substance abuse can be alcohol binge drinking, smoking, children vaping, as well as misusing prescription drugs. And we've heard a lot over the past several years about the opioid crisis. Cannon County is not immune from that.
No, they aren't.
We do have our issues like all other counties in the nation. And but we focus on prevention, and a couple of the best ways we focus on prevention, I believe, is to get unwanted prescription drugs or expired prescription drugs out of the homes and turned over to the DEA for disposal.
And it doesn't matter what kind, does it?
No, it doesn't matter what kind. We will take any kind. We have 2 take-back days a year. We also have in Cannon County 2 permanent prescription drop-off boxes. One of them is at the Sheriff's Department over on Alexander Drive. The other one is at the Police Department on Main Street. And no questions asked. If you have prescription drugs you want to get rid of out of your home, take them up there, drop them in the container, no questions asked. And another thing we do is give away free prescription lock boxes for the home, where those prescription drugs that you have to have and you're prescribed and they're not out of date, you can keep those in there to keep those out of unwanted hands. The reason for that is because over 70% of those that are struggling with opioid misuse right now get their drugs from family and friends at no charge, with or without their knowledge. So if we can get them out of the homes, then we can keep them off the streets.
And sometimes they don't even know what they're taking.
They don't. Sometimes you're absolutely right.
They're taking something that it has nothing to do with drug overdose, or, I mean, you can overdose on anything, but sometimes there may be laxatives or something in there that you think you're getting some kind of a real good drug, and you're in for a real surprise if that happens.
Carolyn, a lot of people, and I've been guilty of this too, keep the drugs that were prescribed to you, but
10
you
years
think
ago.
you may need them later on, maybe a year or two later, and keep them there for your benefit. That's called self-medicating, and that's what a lot of people do that contribute to this crisis that we're facing now. They're self-medicating for an issue without going to the doctor.
And drugs expire. They have an expiration date for a purpose. They expire. So if you've had something for 3 years that's been sitting up there, most likely you're not going to get the effect that you thought you were going to get from it if you took it.
I'll tell you, a little known law in the state of Tennessee is that if you are caught with prescription drugs over a year old, that is illegal.
Oh, Lord, I didn't know that.
So don't put them in the car with you.
No, I don't. I got them in my purse. I didn't know that, Glenn. But, you know, when you say the opioid crisis, that has hit us, and it's hit us hard in a small community. We've had several people that died from opioid overdosing on it.
We do. And it's a larger problem than we realize. One of the reasons that we cannot get the results that we're looking for is because people don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, they don't want everybody to know.
And that is a problem within itself. There's a lot of stigma attached to substance misuse. And if it's happening in particular families, they don't want it to get out. And I'm going to say something right now that I've never said publicly before. I was in a family that my father was an alcoholic. And I never understood it. I never understood why. I was young, and we didn't know then what we know now about addictions. But my father was in the infantry in World War II, and that played a heavy part in him trying to self-medicate the problems that he brought back with him from World War II. I realize that now, and we didn't want to talk about it. Of course, other people knew about it, but we didn't want to talk about it. So I can understand that. But now that we better understand the mental health aspects to addiction, we can address those and effectively address them.
You know, the other thing with that is, even after you identify it and address it, is finding help for them. Mm-hmm. That's difficult now, because I remember way back when there were places that you could take people with mental issues and addictions, and there still are some places, but most of the time when people are addicted, the biggest problem they have is admitting it to themselves.
Yes. They need to raise their hand first and say, I have a problem that I need some help on.
And you've got AAA and, you know, things, and we have those here too. But especially with the opioids, and this can be any age. It's not just the young, and it's not just the old. Sometimes older people abuse this, without realizing they're abusing it, because they go to the doctor quite often, or they go to more than one doctor for different health reasons. And this doctor may prescribe something to them, and then another doctor prescribes something, or the one doctor that's prescribed something to him before thinks, well, that's not working, so now take this. Well, they still take what they were given before, too. And I know, I worked in a pharmacy, so I know that happens more than you think.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Mm-hmm. You're absolutely right. And it knows no boundaries. As a matter of fact, over 2/3 of the people that are struggling with opioid misuse right now received their first drugs as a prescription from the doctor.
Yeah.
These pharmaceutical companies that engineer, design, and develop and sell these drugs knew exactly what they were doing when they started.
You know, I just had an instance in my life. My husband had to have surgery last week at Vanderbilt. He had to have a portion of his lung removed. And he's doing well. He did have a tumor on it. They removed the tumor, and they did several incisions and took some lymph nodes and everything. Well, when he came out of surgery, well, first of all, they don't let families into the hospitals anymore. They did let me in, and I went up to recovery, and he was sitting up on this bed. Now, there's beds, there's a curtain that divides it in recovery room on each side, and their recovery room was full. Well, he was sitting there looking very distressed, and when I walked in, I thought, oh, this is not good. Of course, he wasn't fully awake yet. And I walked up there, and he goes, I am hurting so bad. And I thought, oh, no, this isn't going to be good. Well, I could only spend 10 minutes there, but there was a gentleman in the bed next to him, and the only thing that divided them was a curtain. Well, this man must have just been coming out of his anesthesia too, because he's hollering and he's going, oh, this hurts so bad. My husband says, buddy, I know exactly what you mean. Well, I started laughing at it. So they told me, they said, well, you go up to his room and wait for him. By the time he got to his room, he was doing much better. But you know, they gave him, of course, they gave him something for pain, because right then he needed it. But then he got so worried about becoming addicted that he wouldn't take his pain medicine like he should. And for the first couple of days, you need to. But they would bring him the Tylenol however it was prescribed. But the pain medicine, he had to ask for. Well, he didn't ask for it, and we didn't really realize that. But he got so bad that one night that the doctor the nurses realized that he hadn't had any all day. So then the doctor come in the next morning, and he said, I don't want you going without your pain medicine. We're going to deal with this. But he says, you will not recuperate if you don't take this. He says it's harder for you to heal. So what I'm saying is, for the first couple of days, fine. Now he's not taking any of it, and hasn't for several days. He's taken some Tylenol, I think, now and then. But his biggest fear was that he was going to get on that and couldn't get off. But if you're hurting that bad for that first couple of days, do what your doctor says. Now, if you're going to go home with it and you're going to get it refilled, well, this has no refills on it, but if you were going to get it refilled time and time again, then there's a problem, because sometimes your pain is in your head, because drug abuse is it's a head game.
And that's exactly what opioids do. They attach to the receptors in your brain, in the frontal area, and the frontal area of your brain is where your decision making comes from, and also your reasoning. So they block that and tell you, your brain tells you, you've got to have that. You'll die if you don't get it.
Well, it didn't tell me when I was taking them that when I broke my heels, they didn't tell me that these are also going to make you sick at your stomach and dizzy. Well, I couldn't walk, so I thought I'm not going to sit here wanting to throw up every minute and dizzy, and I can't even get up. So I did away with those too.
And I guess the pioneers of these, the opioids and the pain medicine started when, people in sports would get their injuries, especially those in the motocross world. I knew several bikers that spent years on the dirt tracks, and those things take a toll on your back. And boy, do they beg for the opioids afterwards. Now, there's different ways to handle pain management, but that's the quickest way. And just like you said, once you get to taking those things, it becomes a habit that you can't break because your body's telling you, you need this. And really, it's your brain that's telling you you need this.
That's right.
I knew some people that had ankle injuries. They broke their ankle, got put on the opioids, still on them to this day. The ankle's already healed. Yes, it hurts a little bit, but nothing that aspirin probably couldn't take care of. And yet these people are going out in the streets because they can't get their doctors to prescribe anymore. They were used to take them like they were swallowing M&Ms and candy. I knew one lady in particular that she would take her hydrocodones, and she would take her month's supply that the pain management clinic would give her, and they were gone in one day. And then the next thing you know, she's out spending hundreds of dollars.
I was going to say, she wasn't taking
hundreds of thousands of dollars, actually, per month, going to people that she knew that would sell those to her, and and doubling up, tripling up on that, and she really didn't need it,
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just, and you're right, when a person sits out there and says, I've had enough, I need help, that's the number one thing. Other than that, you can forget it. These people do not want help, do not need help. I mean, they need help, but they're not going to get help unless they realize they themselves have a problem. And your stigmas and everything else go into factors that keep it quiet.
And that's the reason that we're focusing on prevention. When Ms. Steakley and I were discussing going down this route, we knew we couldn't arrest the drug dealers. We weren't qualified to treat people. So what could we do? We could work on prevention. And so that's what we're focusing on. And we're doing that in several different ways. One of the great ways I think that we're working on it is the school system has asked us to come into schools and teach. You can't just go in to the school and say, don't take drugs. That don't work.
They've heard that ever since they were in grammar school.
We have been in the longest war in our nation's history, the war against drugs, since 1971, when President Richard Nixon declared war on drugs. That didn't work. Just say no, Nancy Reagan's just say no, that didn't work. Your brain on drugs, that didn't work. None of that's worked. But we've learned a lot from that. And now there are programs that can help prevent in the early stages. And Mrs. Steakley and Sarah Farrell with 4-H got together last year and developed a curriculum to go in the schools, in the elementary schools, and teach good health through good decisions. And it's worked really, really well, and we've been asked to come back again this year as well. Don't know how we're going to get in there. COVID plays a big part in this, so we're going to have to consider that. But that is a tremendous program for them to have in our schools, and we really appreciate our school staff on allowing us to come in there and help prevent at early stages.
Well, you have to start early. Pam, I'm not going to call you Miss Steakley.
Okay.
I was going to get to you and ask you what part do you play in this,
Well,
other than
as little
following
as I
him
can.
around?
I support Mr. Stickey. That's my main part.
All right.
But like going into the schools, one of the things we did with the 8th grade, we had them breathe through a straw and let them experience what years of smoking would do to them. And they had to walk down the hall and come back breathing only through a straw. And they thought they were just going to do that and just come on back and be fine. They come back. Big old boys were just, gasping for breath. And, you try to impress them that way. This is what it does to you. You have to educate them. And that's one of the main purposes. One of the main ways we do prevention is education. Get people to understand what the effects drugs have on the body. Get the children to understand. It's not just all fun and games. One mistake can cost you the rest of your life. So,
Well, that's like vaping.
Mm-hmm.
Now they think that's cool, blowing that vapor all over it.
right,
That's really dangerous.
it is. And that's one of the things we're trying to address as well when we talk to the kids. But we have to educate the parents as well, and we hope to do that some through the kids learning.
Right.
They'll go home and talk about what they learned. But anytime you see us out at an event with our table or our tent, come by. We have all kinds of literature that tells you
What to look for
what to
and
look
what
for
to do.
and how to talk to your kids about using drugs, how to answer the tough questions, how to start the conversation. We have all kinds of material that could help you with your children. So,
that this is a little off of that path, but yet it isn't. One of the things that this COVID has done, for years, we have said, well, the family unit is going downhill because the parents have to work. They're not with the children. They don't know what's going on, and everything. Okay. And parents use this as an excuse too. Well, COVID put you home with the kids. Now I'm hearing, when's school gonna start? Because it's not all that it's cracked up, and now you've got time to spend with them on things like this, and this should be part of it. You should talk to your kids about stuff like this.
what are you going to do when somebody offers you something? How are you going to respond? Make it easy for them to respond.
Yeah.
Without feeling like, well, they won't like me if I don't.
No, if you lecture them, and it's a lot about peer pressure, it is.
It is. So talking to your kids to know what to do before it happens is a key element, and we want to educate people how to do that.
Yep. And you need to talk to them about it, that's right. Now, you guys meet every month, or you have a virtual meeting. If not, you haven't had any actual in-person meetings for a while, have you?
We have a meeting the second Tuesday of every month. I'm sorry, second Thursday of every month.
Wait a minute, I missed this one again, really?
Second Thursday of every month. We have several things going on, and we have been, due to COVID, we have been having those on Zoom. But tomorrow, we're going back live.
Okay.
And we would like for, this probably won't be aired until later.
No, it won't.
But we're going above and beyond all of CDC's state and federal guidelines in order to keep our members and our community safe and healthy. So we're going back live tomorrow. We also have other events that are scheduled. We call them building community resources. And I might expand on this just a moment. Once we got into this effort here, we realized that being such a small rural community, we don't have in our community the resources that we need to effectively combat this addiction problem. So what do? well, we can put the word out there that we need this or we need that, or we can teach skills, and some of the skills that we teach I'll get into in just a moment. But we have these Building Community Resource Series events where we educate and train and inform our community. We have 2 of those a month. We have one on the first Tuesday of the month that is on Zoom at 1 o'clock. We have another one that last month we went back live on, and it is the 3rd Tuesday of each month, and it's going to be an in-person event over at the Woodbury Lions Club. Some of the past topics that we covered is suicide prevention, Narcan training, ACEs, adverse childhood experiences, and darkness to light. These events help educate the community, make them aware of what's going on and how to react to it. So in addition to that, when we first started talking about this, we need a counseling center in our community.
We do.
Badly. At one time we only had one that was maybe 1 or 2 days a week. And we started talking to people about it. And Ms. Steekler and I were asked to sit on a committee for a counseling center. And I'm happy to report that as of October 1st, we're going to open up the Hope Center of Cannon County.
All right. I didn't know that. And where is that going to be?
It's going to be affiliated with the Woodbury Church of Christ.
Okay.
But it's non-denominational.
Right.
So anyone can come in and have professional counseling. Professional in all sense of the word is be overseen by Agape out of Nashville. So it's going to be first class.
Okay.
Another thing that we do not have here that we need badly is a recovery court. Mm-hmm. What that will do is a long list of positives come from recovery courts, and their success rate across the nation is around 70%. That's really good. That is almost unheard of. So, and I understand that there is a group of leaders in Cannon County that have started working on a recovery court, and we are very thrilled about that. So, a lot of these resources that we need are having to be created, and people are having to be trained in those. So that's a part of what we do as well.
Okay. Well, I have to say, since you and and I know other people have been involved in it, and I know that our police department, our sheriff's department have sent experts over there to do certain types of training, especially with the Narcan. Mm-hmm. And this is so badly needed. And Glenn, you and Mrs. Steekler and several others have done a great job of pulling volunteers together out of our community that are willing to help on this, because it takes a village with something like this. And you have got to be willing to step out there if you're dealing with these issues and at least let someone know, because they won't take care of themselves. And if you've had these issues for several years, evidently whatever you're trying isn't taking care of it either. So sometimes just some help from somewhere else, the education of children, I don't care how young they are, about things like this. They talk about more. Some people will tell me, I don't want to talk to my child about that. Well, you better, because if you don't, somebody else is.
That's true.
And I said, mainly, it'll be somebody else the same age mm-hmm. or a year older that doesn't know any more than your child does. So, yeah, and it's how you go about it. But I want to thank both of you for taking your time and the effort that you have to pull this together, and you've really done an excellent job.
We need more help. We need volunteers. If anyone would like to be a part of this amazing effort, contact us, and we can use some more. We could really use some retired teachers, because we're not teachers.
Right.
If someone could come in and show us how to teach, that we'd get extra benefits from that.
Especially if there is someone out there that would like to work with the kids. We are trying to start a SAD chapter in the schools. It'll cover middle school and high school, and we need a sponsor to assist with that club event. So
Okay, and that's sad, right?
Students Against
Right.
Destructive Decisions.
There's adults that need that. I think sometimes I need that. I'm not sure. But yes, okay. The word's out there. If there's any of you sitting around with not a whole lot to do and you'd like to do something, that would be beneficial. Right now is a difficult time, but by all means, get in touch with Glenn or Mrs. Steakley. And how can they do that, Glenn?
You can email us. The email address is just Cannon Coalition at gmail.com. CannonCoalition@gmail.com. Or you can call 615-542-8443, and you can reach us at that point most of the time.
Also a message on our Facebook page.
We have a Facebook page up and going that is updated on a regular basis, and that is Cannon Coalition. That's all you have to put in at Facebook, Cannon Coalition. We also have an Instagram page, and that is Cannon _Coalition _ Cannon County _ Coalition. Get that right?
It's all that underscoring that'll
right.
get you.
But you can find us on Instagram or Facebook, either one.
And if you can't there, call the chamber and I'll tell you how to get a hold of it.
Thank you.
Okay, is there anything else you'd like to leave us with?
We're just
Words of wisdom?
Well, we're just trying to do the best job that we can with what we have. And one of the things that the Cannon Coalition does, we actually can bring in resources from state and federal that otherwise our community would never get. And we're continually trying to bring this in, and we get no state or federal grants.
I was going to
None at
say,
all.
this is all volunteer work.
It's all local contributions, and we have already brought in thousands of dollars in material, supplies, and educational, with professionals coming in to teach through the coalition.
You've had other groups, so you bring that up when you say materials and instructional materials. You've had other groups really from other counties that have stepped up, haven't you?
It's amazing. It's amazing that people outside of our county know what we do, know that we're here. It's amazing, and you're absolutely right. And I appreciate you bringing that up. There are other coalitions. When we were established in 2019, we were the 53rd county out of 95 to establish a coalition. Now there are several more. But we started doing things a little differently because we didn't know what we were doing. So
Sometimes that works.
we have had other coalitions to realize what we're doing and come in and try to help us because they want these ideas to continue.
Right.
Other coalitions who have been established a while are giving us money to operate on to help us, to help Cannon County at no charge to Cannon County. And all of our giveaways is purchased from out of county. All of our startup equipment for our office was given to us from out of county. Things like this, one of the first things we were going to do, one of the promises I made was to have a resource manual, resource guide for Cannon County. Long story short, the state individual that was in charge of this had a stroke and passed away. Someone else picked it up. This is an Upper Cumberland, which Cannon County is a part of, resource guide for families whose family member OD'd, overdosed, and they didn't know which way to turn. This has 140 contacts in it. We give these to all of our first responders here in the county. At those families who have a family member that overdosed, they give them one of these that can answer questions for them and give them guidance and references to go to.
But your coalition has no paid employees, right?
We have no paid employees.
They're all volunteer.
All of us are volunteer. No salaries at all.
Well, I've always said we would have a terrible time operating without volunteers in Cannon County, and I think we're probably not the only county that has that, because so many of our first responders, so many of our different organizations are all volunteers
Yes.
that head them up.
And we do it because we love our community.
Yeah.
We love our community.
You certainly don't get anything else from it.
And I was telling you about other agencies outside of Cannon County realizing what we're doing. They also realize the condition that we're in as far as substance misuse. But we're working with the University of Illinois in a 5-year program or study on opioid abuse and how it affects the community. And I'm on the board of that effort. And there is a new effort out that I want to meet with you sometimes this next week.
Okay.
The Upper Cumberland Human Resource Agency has a new department. It's called Substance Abuse Solutions. And it's under their umbrella, and it's with a huge federal grant, and it's called Recovery to Work Program. And with Cannon County being a part of the Upper Cumberland District, we're going to get the benefit from this. I'm also on the board of that effort as well. And we're doing everything that we can to help our community come out of this. But we've had a setback with COVID because
Well, it has affected everything.
substance abuse and mental health are in alignment with each other. You very seldom have one without having the other.
Right.
And you have to address both of them at the same time. And with doing that, our overdoses and our suicides in our community has skyrocketed.
Yeah. I don't think it's just us. I think that
No, it's not us.
with people
But it affects us more here.
with people being told they have to stay in, I think that has affected some people so badly.
It's affected me.
It hasn't really me. I mean, well, I still come to work and everything, but, you know, I guess it's like this. There's lots of things in our life that we're told or that we have to do that probably would not be what you would choose to do, but for whatever reason, you do them. And this too shall pass. I don't think that it will ever go back to a normal that we once knew, but it will go back to a normal. It may not be what we think, but come on, it's like with anything else. This affects everyone, so if everybody works together, sooner or later, we're going to come out of this, because this pandemic has hit hard. And the people that think this isn't real, I don't think maybe they have been out. I'm not sure, because it's real, believe me. I see things that I know that it's real, but we can't let that destroy us, because just like with some people, if they have mental issues, they can't accept the change of something like this. And so that leads to something else.
Their mental health is more fragile now than it was prior to COVID.
Okay. Well, we've certainly educated everybody on that. Glenn, I appreciate you and Miss Stickley
Thank
being
you.
with us.
Thank you for allowing us to be here.
And you get in touch with me. I tell you what, until after the car show, I probably won't be of much use.
Okay, I understand.
But for future, I mean, the car show will come and go. So
That too will pass.
that's right. So I'll be glad to help any way I can. Okay, Keith, do you have anything
I'm sure we can go through this and I'll have something to say about.
that you want to add to it?
Yeah, we can.
Okay, I did have another group that evidently forgot about it or missed the time. They are new chamber members, and they are MCE Law and Regal Title. And of course, that is a new law firm that has come into Cannon County. They are new chamber members, and they are a group of general practice attorneys. And then Regal Title is a professional closing service. So we wish them well. They are located on Main Street. They had a grand opening on Friday, August 28th. I wasn't able to attend. You were, Keith. How did that go?
It was very successful because several people in the community came out, and we enjoyed cookies and milk and juice and all kinds of stuff, and a big ribbon cutting too,
Well,
which
all
you'll
right.
see on the paper.
About
next
how many
Tuesday.
do you think? when
I'd
you
say there was at
so?
least, when I was there, around 30, 40 people at
That's
least.
good for a grand opening.
At least.
Of course, they also have offices in Murfreesboro, and I'm sure that some of those people attended as well.
Yeah, I'm sure they did.
But the chamber is proud to have them as new chamber members, and we wish them well. And you know, I have a category here of what's happening, and boy, has that changed for this year. But school sports are in full swing. Cannon County Lions travel to Uppermont on September 18th. DeKalb will be in Woodbury on September 25th. Grundy County will be in Woodbury on October 2nd. And then you have the Cannon County Junior Lions, who are having a great year. And they also have a full schedule. Plus, you've got soccer, volleyball, golf. We now have a bass fishing team. And that sounds like
Cross
I think
country?
cross
still.
country always does well.
Although, did we get a cross country? We didn't get a cross country schedule in here, but it didn't matter anyway because cross country schedule changes every other week, it seems like, with different meets that are having to cancel out and stuff. But
Well, do they start when school opens up,
They
or is theirs a
started-
little late earlier?
Well, they started when school opens up. Now, of course, they train, they run, you know, COVID doesn't really have too much of an effect because they can distance themselves out and they
Right.
run. But speaking of, you know, the fall sports, you had mentioned the Cannon County Junior Lions are having a great year. Yeah, they are. I mean, Coach Josh Lance, brand new coach, first year, has taken over the program and really pumped some enthusiasm in the program. Last night they went to play Gladeville, ended up winning that game 34-18. First time they've ever posted 50 points on an opponent that I can remember. They did it a week ago against Community School, and they beat them 52-6. And what really raised eyebrows on was how easily they beat DeKalb County, DeKalb Middle Saints. And DeKalb County is usually pretty good. They beat them 34-16 as well. So, you know, the next game that they've got coming up will be September the 17th, and I'm sure the video will be out by then. And if you want to see some exciting middle grades football, come out and watch these kids. They got some size. Coach Lance went through the schools. I mean, this was a team that barely got 12 to 14 players out in the past 3 or 4 seasons. They've got over 24 now. And if COVID hadn't hit, they probably would have had a full roster of over 40 kids come out. But it's exciting. The soccer team's doing well too. Girls high school soccer, exciting to watch them play. They now I don't know how they did last night. They played Smith County, and they hadn't beat Smith County since their inaugural season back in 2008, but in any of the district games. But last year it was pretty close. I mean, they did lose to Smith County. but the district tournament game was kind of left a chip on their shoulder. They wanted to get some revenge, and they've got some talent. And even though they don't have, little kids playing, they don't grow up in the system like, a football program or a basketball program. They've got some talent, and come out and see some of these fall sports. I guarantee you, you'll be glad you did. Youth football, we might want to mention that too. The Canyon County Youth Football, I plugged that last night. Tommy Miller, who's in charge of that, gave me a big hello. And they're going to be starting up on the 12th, Saturday with Carthage. And then on the 19th, they play at Upperman. And every time they go on the road, it's going to start at 4 o'clock. Every time they play at home, it's going to start 9 o'clock in the morning.
Now, that's flag football, right?
Yeah, well, flag football and juniors. Juniors, your tackle.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're full swing, regardless of COVID-19. It's here.
Volleyball is always real big, too. That every year we have a good volleyball team. So the more the merrier, I guess. But cross-country has been, boy, it started out with a bang, and it stayed there ever since.
It's still there, and it's not going anywhere with some of the runners we've got that are underclassmen. It's not going to go anywhere anytime soon, I don't think.
Okay, so if you're looking for a place to get out, I know that they are practicing certain social distancing, and I think they were limiting the crowds. If they're still doing that or not, I don't know.
Well, in the bleachers, they've got a few that are, as far as the
Spread
football.
apart.
Yeah, they got them spread apart. But if you bring your lawn chairs out and you got a group of family members, obviously, you can sit together. And, of course, I always encourage people to social distance sometimes. We visited other schools. I mentioned this, that we visited other schools, and there hasn't been a whole lot of social distancing going on. In fact, there's been a lot of socializing, but not a lot of distancing.
Well, I'll tell you.
But it's hard.
This last weekend, they had a craft show up at the Short Mountain Distillery. Now, we were coming from Smithville down Short Mountain Road and ran into this. We had to sit in line about 10 minutes to get through there. I have never seen so many cars in one area at the distillery. They were not expecting crowds like those. They were actually bush hogging more parking as we went by. But the line that we had to pass was probably 2 miles long of people waiting to get in. And there was more people.
Waiting on them to bush hog.
There was more people trying to get in than there was coming out.
Wow.
It was a craft fair, wasn't it?
Yes,
Craft
it
fair,
was. But I talked to a lady that had set up there. She said she sold out of everything she had, and she couldn't leave to go get more because she wouldn't have been able to get back in. So, and their restaurant sold out of food. That was a huge event. But I think that, and I know there was a lot of people on Facebook that were very negative about it because they had to wait. But I think people are so eager to do something
They're ready to get.
that anytime you have something, be prepared, because I think you're going to have a lot of people regardless of what it is. But they did have a big weekend. And then our big weekend for the chamber, this is the only fundraiser the chamber has during the year, although we help with others. September 26th will be the 21st annual Color of Fall car and truck show, and it will be on the square in Woodbury. Registration begins at 8 a.m. and until 12 noon. Now, our judges will start about 9, but if you're there at 12 noon and you're registered, you're going to be judged. So I have people tell me, well, I would never get there in time to be judged. Be there by noon and you're going to be judged. It's $20 per vehicle, and all cars, trucks, unique vehicles are welcome.
If I bring a plane, is that welcome?
No.
It's got wheels. It's not
No,
unique enough?
Keith.
Okay.
No. It has to have 4 wheels. Enjoy music. Keith's going to do that for you. 50-50 drawing, door prizes, trivia. This year, we're going to have something a little different. Last year, we had several kids that came to the car show with their parents or grandparents. So this year, I've got a lady that's going to set up as a vendor. She's going to have mums, pumpkins, fall. She's going to have drinks, this type of thing. And she has some little pumpkins, and we're going to have a painting where the kids can sit, and we can only have so many at a picnic table at a time, but they can paint a pumpkin. Say that real fast 3 times in a row. And this will be for children 12 and under. There will be some other vendors there. We're trying to bring our food people around the square into this. So I'm trying to limit any food vendors that we have so that people will utilize our restaurants around the square, because we have several that are very good. And Sophia's is one of them. It's just around the corner. And I'm sure they're going to try to work up a car show special for this. But it'll be a little different this year, but we're going to have 70 trophies and 6 cash awards. So they will be presented, and they will be presented as soon as the judging is over. But like I say, the judging starts at 9, so we have people that are counting the judging scores up until that very end. So usually it's 2:30 or 3 before we get the awards handed out. And I do want to take this opportunity to thank all of our sponsors and all of our participants that bring their vehicles to this, because that's what makes this show happen, and we do appreciate it. October 10th, the toy drive cruise in will be on the square, and this will take place from 3 to 6 p.m. And all we ask for that is that you bring a toy for children at Christmas time, sponsored by Jennings Jewelers and the Chamber of Commerce. And that will be our final cruise in for the 2020 season. I did want to mention, too, for the car show that, let's see, there was something I left out of that, and now I forgot what it was. Well, I'll go back to it. October 16th through the 18th, Shake, Rattle, and Roll will liven things up at the Art Center with music by Elvis, Jerry Lee, Johnny Cash, and Carl Perkins. And if you've seen this show before, they have new selections that they will be presenting this time. It's going to be Friday and Saturday. The shows will be at 7:30 p.m. and on Sunday, a 2 p.m. matinee. And masks are required. Temperatures will be taken. Seating is limited, so please reserve your seats early by calling the Art Center at 615-563-2787. And you will not be sorry if you come to this show. It is so much fun. I love it every time these guys get together, but I like that kind of music, so. And if you didn't, by the time you leave, you will too. Okay, as time goes on, perhaps more events will take place. We don't know for sure what's going to happen with our Christmas season. I do know the Lions Club Tour of Homes has been canceled, and of course, one reason for that is people don't feel safe with people touring their homes at this time, and you can understand that. I understand that. But we still have a parade. The Christmas ornaments this year will be the old tower, water tower, and the ornament is beautiful, and a lot of people collect those, and they will be out in November, along with the pecan sales, and nut sales will also be available. So you'll be able to see them in the stores because they always distribute those. And as far as for their other events, I think the coat giveaway and gloves and hats and everything is going to happen in November, and I will let you know more about that next month. So don't give up on us. It's just right now we're having to limit the things we do. And the one thing that I want to remind everybody about this event, and this will live on forever as it should, the 9/11 terrorist attack in New York. And this is a reminder to thank your first responders who risk their life every day to keep you safe. And we lost a lot of them during that.
Get a chance, I don't know when this video is coming out, but on Saturday, the 12th of September, this coming Saturday, will be the
Patriots Day.
Patriot Day ceremony. It's going to take place at the courthouse instead of school. Start at 11 o'clock in the morning. And that's what Cannon County and the American Legion Post will be doing. They'll be honoring first responders as well as remembering 9/11 and the terrorist attack. So it's this Saturday.
So we're done for this month. We hope to see you next month, and we want you to take care and be safe.